Imagine a weapon so lethal. The gods themselves feared the mortals who could forge it out of thin air. Lean in closer to the embers, traveler. Most believe the Redguards are simply masters of the blade, but the steel they carry is a toy compared to the Shehai, the spirit sword. This power wasn't a gift from the divines. It was forged through a philosophy so dangerous, it was eventually scrubbed from the history of men. Today, we're unrolling the Book of Circle to uncover the forbidden strategy of Hunding, the man who taught the few to slaughter the many. If you've ever wondered how a band of poets obliterated an army of 300,000, you're about to see the manual that turns a soul into a slaughterhouse. Hunding was not born a god. He was born into the dust of high desert, a time when the sword was not a tool, but a language. By the age of 30, Hunding had already spoken 90 duels into existence, and 90 times, his opponent fell silent. But here is where the legend twists. At the peak of his power, Hunding did something unthinkable. He abandoned his steel. He realized that a blade of iron is limited by the forge, but a blade of the mind? That has no boundaries. He retired to a cave on Hattu Mountain to write the Book of Circles, formulating a philosophy so lethal it turned the warrior into a ghost and the spirit into a weapon. This was the birth of the Shehai, the spirit sword. Most singers could only produce a pale, misty flicker of light, a toy. But Hunding? His Shehai was a burning sun in his hand, an unstoppable force that could slice through armor as if it were mountain mist. While Hunding sat in silence, the world outside was screaming. Emperor Hira, a man driven by a singular hatred for the sword singers, began his purge. He didn't just want them dead. He wanted them erased from history. He assembled an army of orcs and outcasts, 300,000 strong, to scour the desert of the saints of the sword. Hunding was pulled from his meditations not by choice, but by duty. He saw his people scattered and terrified. He didn't offer them a prayer, he offered them a plan. He called it the Hammer and the Anvil. Hunding didn't seek a single glorious battle. He led Hira's massive, bloated army through 6 grueling engagements, each one pulling the emperor deeper into the unforgiving wilderness of Hattu Mountain. Every step was a calculated sacrifice. Hunding was teaching his disciples the ultimate lesson: the terrain is your ally, and the enemy's numbers are their prison. On the 7th day, at the base of the Father of Mountains, the trap snapped shut. Hira's 300,000 soldiers were squeezed into a killing floor. The singers, outnumbered 30 to 1, finally called forth their Shehai. Imagine the desert air igniting as 20,000 blades of pure soul fire manifested at once. It wasn't a battle, it was a harvest. By the time the sun set, the sand was red enough to give the Redguards their name. Hira's army ceased to exist, scattered to the 4 winds by a handful of men who had mastered the art of being the hammer. But the victory came with a price. To win, the singers had to become something so dangerous, they were no longer welcome in their own homes. They left their desert behind, carrying only their scars and the Book of Circles, and sailed toward a new land they would call Hammerfell. They proved that when you master the mind, the world is merely the whetstone. Remember that, traveler, next time you think a piece of steel makes you a warrior. But here is the final secret, the truth hidden between the lines of the Book of Circles that the priests of the Empire dare not whisper. You see, the gods did not fear the Shehai because it was a sharp blade. They feared it because it was a forbidden cut. Hunding and his Anse didn't just master the spirit, they mastered the Pankrata sword, the ability to cut the atom of reality itself. Legend says this is what truly sank their original home of Yokuda, a power so absolute it could erase a continent from the map in a single stroke. When Hunding led his people to Hammerfell, he wasn't just seeking a new home. He was seeking a tomb for a power mortals were never meant to hold. He realized that to save the world, the greatest warriors in history had to let their greatest art die. That is why the Shehai has faded to a myth. The Redguards didn't lose their magic. They chose to bury it in the sand to keep the heavens from falling. So the next time you see a Redguard warrior, don't look at his steel, look at his restraint. Because if he ever remembers the old way, not even the gods will have a place to hide. Stay sharp, traveler, the desert remembers. So it is, traveler. The greatest secret of the Redguards isn't a sword at all. It's the heavy silence of a blade that refuses to be drawn. Friend Hunding knew that if he didn't bury the Pancrata sword in the shifting sands, there wouldn't be a world left for his children to walk upon. They didn't lose their magic. They sacrificed their godhood to save our reality. Remember that next time you face a warrior of the waste. Their steel is sharp, but it is their restraint that keeps the very stars in the sky. If you've the stomach for more truths pulled from the ash, feed the fire. Leave your mark below and join our circle of chroniclers. The desert remembers, and so shall we. Look to the next scroll on your screen, for the shadows of Tamriel grow long, and the fire needs your warmth to stay lit. Until we meet again, stay sharp.